Hello, do you want to know where we are with training, new releases, new features that are coming up? In this video, I'm going to tell you about what we've got coming up with Hey Monika, what we've been working on lately. I've got quite a lot to share with you this week, so settle in, get a cup of tea, and I'm going to take you through what we're working on right now. First up, how we align with accounting syllabuses. So one of the questions that we get asked quite frequently is which qualification does this particular scenario or challenge relate to? So something that we've been working really hard on is putting together a document that shows us the best view that we can get with the information online of what the professional qualifications look like. And what we've tried to do is break those down into specific skills that we can then test. So we've been looking at various syllabuses online for ICB, AAT, all of the professional bodies. And then what we've been able to do once we've got various skills, so for example, recording payments in the cash book, for example, these come up on ICB, various levels of those, and we'll have this on IAB and ACCA and so on and so on. And then what we've been able to do is show whether we've covered this in one of our scenarios or challenges in Hey Monika. So we've got a scenario, Graham from Greenie Bins has some entries that go into the cash book, and there's another it's just that one there, but you can see here that there are a couple of questions on the item above, and you can see that we've been able to map these against scenarios and challenges, which is great. So one thing that we need to do quite soon, and I want to make this, like, obviously there's a lot of information here, but I want to make it quite clear where our scenarios and challenges map to qualifications, so that if you're thinking I'm at this level and I need to test those skills, that's great. I also realise that lots of people aren't looking at Hey Monika to use it to give work experience for a specific exam, but for the people who are asking those questions, we thought that would be a useful thing for us to do. It also shows us where the gaps are so that we can now build out challenges and scenarios. There's lots of not yets on this list. So there are lots of things that we can now go away and we can build. So I'm excited to be able to make that available for you. Okay, next up, an update on the status of scenarios and challenges that we've been working on over the last couple of weeks. Something that was that's quite important for us is to go through and update the existing scenarios, because we now have this great feature called video mode. I was talking about it in our last video. And what this allows us to do is embed videos into our questions, which make them feel more realistic where we need to do it, And this is the scenario with Vanessa. She has a business called Virtually There, which is a VA business. She has a virtual assistant business, and she's got team working for her, providing these sort of admin support services. And there's a number of activities that you need to do for Vanessa. But at certain points, we've now been able to embed videos in here. So, for example, I won't play the sound, but there's a voice note that Vanessa's left on your answer phone. She's asking you a question, and then what you can do is you can work out what the right answer is to that question. So that's now available. But what we've also done, as we've gone through and updated where we can with I'm not going to show you all the right answers and the wrong answers, but what we've done is we've gone through and added in videos and things like that, is we've also just rephrased some of the questions, because we did have a few questions which were like, have you done this task? Yes or no? And actually I want to make them much more interactive for you. So we've worked hard on getting that to be working. So that's all completely updated, Vanessa. We also are aware we've had quite a few questions about Adele, the longer scenario for Adele. So we have a month-end piece of work to do, but there's also an annual piece of work. That's the next scenario we're going to review. If you've attempted this, that you might have raised issues with us about having there's 37, I think, sales invoices that you need to import, and there's a rounding difference, and that is causing a lot of questions. We have got resources. There are help documents within Hey Monika which talk you through that, but I think that for a beginner level scenario, it shouldn't be creating that much complication. So we're going to go through, and I think actually from your point of view as a user, uploading 5 sales invoices is going to give you the sort of point of the activity. So I think that there's something we can do there, and we'll work through this again, add videos into it as well, but also look at those particular challenges that are coming up for people when they're working through it. We have got some other scenarios which we're building at the moment. So this is the back end, which looks a bit of a mess. But we have got some new scenarios that we're working on, including Daniel, who has this amazing ponytail, who's an MTD scenario, and we've got a few other things that we want to just get across the line. So there is a lot happening behind the scenes, but we've released some new challenges that you might be able to see. So something we found really important to do is not just go straight into, you're in the role, let's prepare a working paper for the year end, because that might not be the first thing you're doing when you're new to practice, particularly if you're a school leaver or you haven't really done very much of your accountancy training yet. There are actually some fundamental skills that we all need to know, and I think we forget that we need to know this stuff. So we've got a couple of we've got 2 scenarios which are released now. One of them is about professional communication. It's about email and phone skills. I might have spoken about this on the last video. We've also got a challenge called the World of Business, which is more about like the entity types and how businesses make money, and some of the terminology and what the role of the accountant is. But we're also building at the same time. Oh, and sorry, we've also released a critical thinking and AI challenge, because we think that being able to ask the right questions is a massively important skill right now. I enjoyed building that one. I actually got my daughter to go through it. So, and I think this is the kind of thing that we need to be able to make sort of professional judgments about. But we are also building at the moment an accounting concepts challenge, which you can see here. All of the challenges start with a video. In these pieces of work, you have a mentor who tells you about the context, and it's a bit closer to textbook training in that you have somebody talking you through the environment that you're doing this work in, rather than having a client saying, hey, go and do my VAT return. You've actually got a mentor who's here to tell you, like, this is why we need to do this. This is the kind of stuff that we need to look out for. And as you work through this, we talk about the finance team, we talk about key financial documents. I actually reflected on my own training journey and realised that I didn't do accountancy at school. I went into an accounting and accounting and finance degree. And in my degree, and I actually left university, if anyone doesn't know that, but I spent a year doing various different things around business. There was law, there was economics, there were other things, maths, things like that as well. But in accountancy, I feel like the main thing I did was try to learn how to do journals and not understand what journals were. And the only real experience I'd had of looking at a set of financial statements was when we were doing some kind of project, and I went and looked up financial statements for football clubs. So I remember looking at Manchester United's set of accounts and thinking, oh my gosh, it's this huge, massive, document, like hundreds of pages. And then my thoughts were, well, that's what a set of accounts looks like. And of course, in practice, that isn't what a set of accounts look like. But if you've never seen a set of accounts before, you don't always know what you're even looking at. So we've tried to ask some questions here about what the documents are and what they achieve. And we're going to cover some things around double entry, the accounting equation, just to give you that confidence around double entry. And accounting concepts, going concern, accruals concept, that kind of thing. But we also need to touch on anti-money laundering, data protection and ethics, because these are crucial to understand if you are new. And this is targeted at the newest trainees coming into a role, to make sure that you have that foundation. And you're like, if you're an employer buying Hey Monika for your team, we want you to know that they are like having a certain level of training, and you can feel confident, like it's okay. They're going to do the right thing. Of course, you think they're going to do the right thing, right? But I think just sometimes having those frameworks and those things demonstrated to you can be really helpful. So that's coming. That's something that we're working on soon. As I mentioned, we are mapping all of these scenarios and challenges to the syllabus document that we have. So I'd like to make a view of that available. But of course, we do also have on the sort of dashboard, we have this difficulty, beginner, intermediate, advanced. I would, in the future, I'd like to look at making this have a drop-down box for which level this relates to. The problem is that different syllabuses across different professional bodies obviously come out at different levels. So you might be doing something around a journal entry at the beginning of your ACCA training, but that would also be covered in level 2 of a AAT or ICB program. So it's quite difficult to be able to do that and have like multiple options, but that's something that we can work on. So for now, the fix, because we're bootstrapped and we have to just sometimes be a bit messy in the way that we do things, we'll make that available on our website. And just so that you know, we do have on our website right now, I was going to come to this later, but we have added a status page because from every now and again, as you know, with software, there's a challenge. So we had an issue last week where we'd hit our API limit on our integration with OpenAI. So in terms of requesting things from the client or asking Monika questions, they weren't able to respond. So we have upped our limit. Super simple fix. But until we realized that was the problem, we didn't know that there was a problem. So once we realize that we have a problem right now, what we can do is we can, this happens behind the scenes through AI, but we can make sure that that now shows on our website. So there's a status page there that's available. And on our news page, which is our blog page, you can also see that we have latest sort of issues, latest releases here as well. So we've got latest training and different features that we've added. So when we added in video questions, or we've updated virtually there, those kind of things are going to be showing on this screen. So if you're ever interested in what's happened lately, you can obviously read our news, and I'll tell you some of this in a minute, but you can also see the latest challenges and scenarios that we've added in. Okay, let me tell you about something that I am very excited about. The way that we interact with our clients through Hey Monika, through scenario mode at the moment, is that we have, and I'm just going to resume this scenario and see where I am. When we have to ask our client for something, like for example, in this scenario, we need to ask Adele for a bank statement. The way that we do that is we click on this Talk to Client button and we say, "Hi Adele, could I have your bank statement, please?" Okay, now this to me looks like a messenger chat, like the kind of thing you might send to somebody over a WhatsApp message or a Facebook Messenger or something like that. And it definitely serves the purpose. If I send the right request over to Adele, she's going to retrieve the document for me and she's going to put it for me in the document vault. And this is the place that I get access to the paperwork, so I can then go into Xero or whichever software she's using, and I can go ahead and upload their bank statement and process those transactions. But and as well as that, we also have this space where we can ask Monika for help. So I can say something like, I know, can my sole trader client claim for business insurance? The answer is yes. In her tax return. And it works like a chat. We have a chat with Monika. She's our mentor, sat next to us at work, and she says, yes, that's fine. So she's giving me some answers there. Now, I think the way we chat with Monika is fine, because Monika is our mentor. If we were working in the office, we might use the Teams chat just to say, hey, so-and-so, can I have such and such? Or do you know what I do with this? And they might say, oh, let's jump on a call. But we are likely to send those short, informal messages because they're people that we know and we work with. But when we're speaking to a client in practice, we're not going to send them a chat like this. What we're more likely to do is send them an email or have a video call or speak to them on the phone. And we want to make sure that Hey Monika gives you a realistic experience of working. And we've been talking for a while about, wouldn't it be great if we could have a voice conversation with Adele? Now, we've been talking to our development team about that, and they have come to us with something that we're going to try and build over the next month. And I'm going to just show you what it looks like now. Now, what I'm just going to say first of all is we can't make this video right now because we haven't got the budget to be able to do that. That it even isn't even on the roadmap as something that we're considering. But I think that skill of speaking to somebody on the telephone is incredibly important. Like, I was definitely somebody who didn't really want to pick up the phone when I was employed. I would be much more likely to send an email. An email is fine, but sometimes there are situations where you need to explain something to the client, or you've had an exchange and you've sent a few emails now and actually you really need to talk it through. And I think that for somebody who's training, to get used to and confident with the idea of speaking to somebody on the phone is such a valuable thing to do. Actually, there are some, before I show you this, there are some really cool examples of this that I'd love to share with you. Okay, so this is a video that I sent to Lee, our developer, yesterday. It's an app called Practica, and it's a completely different space. It's a language learning app. Now, unfortunately, you can't hear me talking. Maybe fortunately, you can't hear me talking, but you can hear the AI avatar speaking to you. And I'm just going to show you like a little clip of it, because what happens is there's an AI generated video where the person can speak to you and then you can respond. So watch this for a sec. Hopefully I'm allowed to share this in Practica. I'm gonna like be really mad, but like big shout out. This is the coolest thing I've ever used to learn languages with. I actually don't know if you can hear it. But we've got the guy having a chat with me and he's saying like, welcome back. Da, da, da.
Aloha, Zoe. Welcome back. It's great to see you keeping up with your German today. Finish this lesson and you'll reach a 2-day streak.
Woo-hoo!
That's pretty cool, right?
2-day streak.
Let's keep the good energy going. Are you ready to begin?
So then I say something like, ja, ich bin fertig, and I tell him that I'm ready, and then he's going to ask me some questions. Now, what's
Super,
cool?
das freut mich. Heute sprechen wir über den Alltag und persönliche...
What's cool is that I can see what he's saying at the same time.
Was machst du zuerst nach dem Aufstehen?
So he's asking me what I do first thing in the morning when I wake up. And I'm telling him some stuff about like, I get up, I go and check my kids are all right, I feed the cats, something like that. And then he's going to reply to me. Now, I can then see the text that I've said. I can click on the words he says and I can see definitions as well, which is really useful.
Danke, Zoe. Das klingt nach einem schönen Start in den Tag. Deine Kinder schauen fern und du kümmerst dich um deine Katze. Sehr liebevoll. Hast du schon einmal Guess It gespielt? Das ist ein Spiel, bei dem...
Okay, that's enough. So he's now going to take me through like playing a game where he asks me like some things and I have to guess what the thing is that he's describing, and it's just a way to sort of practice descriptive words. Now, this is obviously very different to the way that we would be doing anything in Hey Monika, because you haven't got to learn a language. One of the things I like that you can't see here is that I can click on any of the words. So if I didn't know what Entwicklung meant, I could click on it and then it would pop up with a little box that tells me it's about development, and I would have that sort of dictionary view. Now, I think that's, the sort of glossary side of things here. Like this is definitely something we can be thinking about in Hey Monika, because there are going to be terms and words you come up against, but that's why we have challenge mode. And I don't think we need to have a video avatar of you speaking to the client right now. It would be great to be able to create a kind of video call, but to be able to even just have the person speak to you with potentially the words underneath, and for you to speak back would help you have that sort of natural level of conversation. And I think that is really exciting. So what we've been talking to the team about is whether we could create a situation where you can have a voice call with the client, because if we can do that, we can help you to feel more confident with actually having the client conversation. And that's so much of what this is about. What we can also do then is give you some feedback on how your conversation went. So rather than the person saying, oh, by the way, you didn't explain that very well to me, because that isn't how a client conversation would necessarily go. But Monika, your mentor, should be able to give you some feedback on the back of that conversation so that you then can work on developing those communication skills. And I think this is one of those things that's really important for like work readiness. So I'm just going to show you on the screen what this looks like. Okay, so this is like the demo, and what's happened is you've just spoken to the client, you've had a conversation, and then at the end, Monika has a think about it, and then you get her evaluation of what has happened in the conversation. You obviously didn't see the voice chat part of things, but you'll have this bit which says, you're speaking to so-and-so, so rather than looking at where am I here? Rather than having this sort of text bit here, you'd have like a sort of circle on the screen, which is probably a picture of Adele's head. And then you're going to press the button to speak and press the button to end. And then Adele's going to reply to you, and then you can say your next bit. I don't know whether you'll click the button or whether it will just pick up that you're speaking into it. But then you can have the conversation with the client. You can still ask her for the bank statement, and she can still put it in the document vault. But it feels like a much more natural way to pick up the phone, because you're going to need to say, "Hi Adele, how are things?" and she's going to tell you how things are. And she might tell you, she might start asking you something else, But what we can also do through that is get the kind of tone. So there is a scenario, if you've had a look at Selena, she is our MTD client. So this applies to her now, because hooray, happy new tax year. But if you're having a chat with Selena, she's been using spreadsheets, and she's pretty unhappy about the idea of having to go ahead and start completing MTD. She doesn't want to move over to software. And there's actually a voice note in here from her. This is opened at a conveniently good place, where she says, she sends you a message, or which we can't hear. Hang on one second. Wow, she's angry. So, you are going to have situations when your client is saying, like, does this actually apply to me? And for you to be able to kind of not talk them down, they're not calling to yell at you, but to be able to carefully explain why this is important and relevant for her, and for her to actually be able to express in her voice that she's annoyed or frustrated or worried. And then at the end of the call, hopefully confident and reassured and knows what's going to happen next. And I think that would give us like a whole other dynamic of the way that we have these conversations. So I am very excited about this sort of video, this voice chat that we're going to be able to have. What I would love to build on top of this at the same time, and this is going to come down to budget and things like that, is the ability to, as well as having a voice chat, so you might have Selena here talking to you and you get your feedback at the end. If you can't talk right now, and if you've ever used Duolingo, you might have seen this kind of thing. I can't show you Duolingo right now, but sometimes you have like a question that comes up. It's another like language training app. And if you can't speak right now because you're in a public place or whatever, or you can't listen right now because you haven't got your headphones and you're in a public place or whatever, you can just tap the button to say, can't speak right now, can't listen right now. And we could have that option so that if that's the case, it defaults to text. But rather than defaulting to a text like this, which looks like a chat conversation, I'd like it to default to something where it looks like an email, like an Outlook or Google email browser window application, where you can type in your email to the client and the client can reply to you, rather than by saying, hey, yeah, I've dropped it in the document vault. They can reply with, hi, how are you doing? Thanks for this. I've done da, da, da. And it's going to look very different to the way that we have this kind of chat interaction. So I'd like to have an email functionality in the client conversation as well. But I don't see that changing for the way we speak to Hey Monika. Monika is going to still be a chat. She's your colleague, but when you speak to your client, it needs to be more formal, more professional. So we're working on that. The next thing I wanted to let you know is that we are exhibiting at Accountex. I'm so excited to be at Accountex. It's the biggest show, and we attend every year. As you know, Joe and I will attend as the Bookkeepers podcast, and our team have been attending for years for their accountancy practices. But we're going to be there with the Hey Monika team. So we're going to have a stand. We are on a budget. So expect us to show up not looking as, I feel really embarrassed to say, we're going to be showing up as the people who had just like done this with equipment they had from around the house. But we'll have, some flyers. We'll be able to give you some demos if you want to come and ask us some questions, or if you've got some ideas or things that you'd like to see. If you're already using Hey Monika or you're thinking of using it, come and ask us about it. We'll show you around and help you get started as well. So that is something very exciting that's coming up. Another couple of exciting things that have happened for us lately. We found out earlier this week that we have been shortlisted for an award at the PQ Awards. Now, I used to read PQ magazine as a trainee, which really, like when I think about when that was, I know PQ magazines hit a big birthday recently, and maybe it's 25 years. Graham Hambley will kill me if I get that wrong. But I definitely read PQ magazine as a sort of 20-year-old in my trainee accountant role. So over 20 years ago. So I've been, and I actually won a competition one year, did the Christmas quiz. So won that, got loads of sweets sent to the office. Everyone was very happy about that. So PQ Awards, we have been shortlisted. Hey Monika has been shortlisted in the category of graduate or apprenticeship training program of the year, which is amazing. It's particularly amazing because of the caliber of other finalists on the list as well. Kaplan are on the list. I did some of my accountancy qualification training. I went on a revision course with Kaplan, had resources from Kaplan. And so actually to be in the same category really means absolutely loads to me. But so I'm not going in there with high expectations that we're going to win, but just to be recognised on that list is incredible. So I'm very, very proud of that. And we're looking forward to the awards night. We have sort of as a sideline, Joe Wood and I have been shortlisted for Personality of the Year, which I think is hilarious. There are some other brilliant finalists in that category. I'm not expecting us to win it. It's the first time we've ever battled anything out anyway for an award. So I don't know that they could give it to one of us or the other. I'd hope that they'd give it to both of us if we got it. I think someone else is going to win that category. And also the Bookkeepers podcast, if you listen to the Bookkeepers podcast, we've been shortlisted for Podcast of the Year, which is fab. So we're super proud and looking forward to celebrating with everybody. It's always lovely to have somebody recognise you and put you on a shortlist for anything. So we'll be there to party at the awards night. We've also been shortlisted in the Cardiff Life Awards. So Hey Monika is a product of the Bookkeeper Training Academy, which is a company registered in Cardiff. And we entered the Cardiff Life Awards as a, let's see, kind of thing. But we felt that we had some innovation happening right now. And, we all meet up here at my house, not too far from Cardiff. Every month or so, we have a hackathon. So everyone comes and stays at my house. And we have, or they stay in a hotel nearby. Joe usually stays at my house, and we'll have food, and we usually go into Newport and have some dinner and things like that, or go to the curry place in the village. And we work together. We just get our heads down. Because I think when you're working with 5 other founders, there's 6 of us, and then there's a development team. That's it. And the development team work with us in sprints. So if we've got a bit of money, we'll build the next thing. That's really how we've worked this. I'm here to lead the project, and that's only something that happened in February when we thought someone has to come in and lead it, just because we've got so much momentum and there's so much we can do, and it feels so exciting. There's so much cool stuff. Every time I think, oh my gosh, I should do that. And this really matters to me, because I really want to fill that gap between being professionally qualified and actually being valuable at work straight away, but being valuable for yourself, so you feel fulfilled and ready and are able to progress, but also so that the team who've hired you feel that you're valuable to the team as well. Everyone wants to have that that joining. I've been looking into this. There's loads of research into, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole. Let me go down a rabbit hole. First of all, obviously, there's lots of research into how AI is going to change the landscape that we work in. So there are some stats that have been issued by, I'm going to forget now, but I'm going to try and put it up on my screen while I'm chatting. There are some stats that have been released which say that something like 40% of roles will be automated in the future because of AI. But in developed economies, it's probably more like 60%. So that's, obviously that is, I guess, a worry. This is the kind of stuff that makes us think, oh my gosh, what's the future of work going to look like? And I think that is a really good question to ask when we're going through a professional qualification. Is this actually going to get me to where I want to be in the future? Really good thing to be thinking about. But actually, with technology like Hey Monika, what we can actually do is we can make sure that whatever the work looks like in the future, if we can build the training to make sure you're ready for that work, and because we're a small company, we move fast, we're really agile, we actually can give you the work experience element of that much faster than you can go through a qualification. So I'm not worried about the roles changing in the future, because I know that it's actually the work experience that's the most important part of things. And there is some other research, can't find the document to share with you, but there's some other research that says that, and it was done a long time ago, like 80s and 90s is my rough estimate from what I can remember in my head. But that research was showing that 10% of the skills you need in the workplace come from your qualification and 90% comes from work experience. So, this is why this is so important for us to be doing. So I'm excited about it. Why was I telling you that? I was telling you that because I was going down a rabbit hole of Cardiff Life Awards. Anyway, we've been shortlisted in the category for technology and innovation, which is fantastic. Really lovely to be recognised locally. And also, I don't know, there's something about being recognised out of the accounting industry as well. Like, obviously, people are like, oh, that's interesting enough that they would put us on the finalist list. So that's cool. And also in their new business category as well. So that is very, very exciting. Right, I'm just coming in to report on the stats because I hate to say something and then not have the stats to back it up. Okay, there are some really good articles that I'm going to link to underneath this that you might be interested in reading. There's an article by Goldman Sachs about how AI will affect the global workforce. World Economic Forum have a Future of Jobs report 2025. So you're just thinking about how fast AI is moving. I think it would be worth looking for like the most up-to-date research here, but they talk about the new job opportunities that there will be in 2030 and the sort of urgent upskilling that's going to be needed to prepare workforces. The IMF issued something about in 2024 actually about whether AI is going to transform the global economy. And the report that I mentioned earlier about the gap between knowledge and actually being able to do the things, like turning that knowledge into action. There's a book by Pfeffer and Sutton, Stanford University. It is called The Knowing Doing Gap. They call it The Knowing Doing Gap. And they found that formal training accounts for 10% of how professionals develop real capability. The remaining 90% comes from on-the-job experience. And the Stanford researchers call this the knowing doing gaps. And so it's a problem that's been around for ages. This was 1999, this book came out. And I think I trained around 2000-ish. Hang on, how old am I? 2002-ish was probably my first job. So when I think about that was obviously very relevant then. And if I think about how I would have trained and how I've trained trainees in various businesses in like the last 15 years, whatever, it's quite similar. So something that is going to change, right? It's going to change. So I just wanted to jump in and share that too. Okay, next up, I wanted to let you know that we've launched a 30-day training planner. So if you want to know which scenarios and challenges to do, we've built a quiz. It's an assessment that will ask you various questions about your confidence, and then it uses AI. Everything, like, I want us to be AI first. Uses AI. It works out which of our scenarios match to what you want to be learning and focusing on, and then it gives you a list. I will just quickly run it for you so I can show you exactly what that looks like. Okay, so I've done this before, and what you'll love about this is that if you have this open, you can go in and you can retake it every 30 days, and then you can see what your new score is. So you get scored against a number of different areas. So these were the things that we picked up when we went through the various syllabuses in terms of the core areas that we need to focus on in Hey Monika. You get a score. Looks like the first time I did it, I got a higher score in management accounting, so my skills gone down. But looks like, I've just clicked through, right? So I've answered these questions. It's given me a score. And then it's giving me a suggestion of my focus areas, and then it's recommending for me which of these particular scenarios and challenges I want to go through. So these are all scenarios. It tells me it's a scenario or that it's a challenge. It tells me what level it is. It tells me what sort of things it covers. And then when I've done it, I can tick the box and then it will take it off of my list, but it will add something else in for me, which I think is really cool. So if you're thinking like, what do I focus on next? It's going to rank the scenarios and challenges that are shown to you based on the skills that you want to develop. And then it will give you this little list at the bottom of what you've actually completed. So that's available. If you go to heymonika.com/plan, it's free to do. We do ask you for your email address, and then you can also go back and you can do that again in the future as well by putting your email address in. While I'm on website things, you might know that luckily I'm married to a creative, an amazing creative. So he did the whole of the Six Figure Bookkeeper rebrand. He's working right now on our homepage for Hey Monika. And as you can see, the website is very much me going, I need a bit of data here. I'll just embed a thing, which doesn't look great all the time. And I get it. So Ollie, bless him, is going through and working through how can we make our website look more like a SaaS company's website. I saw a very first version of it. He's been using Claude Code, which is amazing. And actually, just the whole of Claude blows my mind. But he's been using Code, and he's been looking at whether we can have some animated Monika figures, which has been good actually, because as you'll know, our Monika is like a little sort of semicircle thing, but that means it's quite difficult to show the bottom of her. And he had it set up as a like winking, blinking, round purple Monika, but she looked like a Ribena blackcurrant. So he's now made her into this sort of peanut shape, which means that she has more of a, I don't know, there's an end to her body, which means that she works much better on the way that we got the website. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. Something that's probably going to take a month or so. And I don't want to put loads of pressure on him. When you are married to somebody, you have to let them work for free at their own pace. So that's what we're doing there. But I'll let you know when the new website's live. The other two things I want to share. If you, the way to use Hey Monika is to join us as with a solo license. So if you're the trainee, you can sign up. It's £50 a month plus VAT to get access to everything. As you can see, we're building and releasing more things all the time. We also have a team license option. So you can have up to 5 trainees using the Hey Monika subscription, and it's £100 a month. So if you've got 2 people in the team who want to use it, it's worthwhile paying for the team license. Now, one thing that I'm very conscious of is that I want to give team license holders feedback on how their team are doing. And I've spoken to Emma Reed at Cotton's Group. I've spoken to Karen Kennedy at Kennedy Accountancy about what kind of insights they need to see how their team are doing. Obviously, you don't want every single bit of data ever, but you do want to see which kind of scenarios and challenges have they attempted, how did they score, have they done it again, how long did it take? Although I also think that the how long did it take isn't necessarily particularly important, because in a sort of work environment, you might have several things on and you'll start something and then not be able to come back to it till later in the week. So I don't know how crucial it really is in terms of how many minutes did it take, but I think it's useful to show that that task has been ongoing for a week, or it was completed end to end in a week, or it was completed end to end, or it started 4 months ago and never finished, because the question there is, why wasn't it finished? Are they struggling with this? Can I help? That kind of thing. So I want to look into what data we've got. We've actually got lots of data in the back end of the software, obviously, in terms of, you know, who's done what and what scores did they get. So we now have that database, and I'm going to work out how we can slice and dice it. So we're just providing the data that we need. But if you're a team license holder, we should be able to give you a dashboard very soon. So look out for that, and I'll be asking for feedback because we want to make this workable for you. So if you've got any thoughts or ideas or what you want to see, I'll probably be reaching out to you one-to-one anyway. Final thing to let you know, we have a challenge underway. In fact, I think I've already spoken about this. We're building a challenge called Accounting Concepts. So that should be coming out early next week. It's going to have to go through a quality assurance process. We always do that. So every time a challenge or scenario is built, it goes through, usually Nicola in our team, who will go through with a fine-tooth comb and make sure that everything works, the right answers work, that you get the right documents at the right time, that the question makes sense. All of those kind of, it scores correctly. Just a point on scoring, we're aware we've had a scoring issue, which has now been resolved as well. The tech team told me that was something to do with orphaned records of questions that had been removed, and they still had a score associated with them that was built into the score at the end of the quiz or scenario. You'll only be interested in this if you've actually had this challenge. But there was something that needed to happen so that those orphaned records, basically just deleted questions that we had in the past that we don't use anymore, weren't affecting the totaling of the scoring. So that I believe has been resolved. But if you've got any questions, just email us and we're happy to help. Or if you're a user of Hey Monika, when you're logged in, on the right hand side there's a button for feedback that takes it onto our something called our Sleek Plan board, which is where you can raise any issues and then we can resolve those. So just to say that that's available. Where was I? I don't know, accounting concepts, spoke to the team, various things. Don't know. Anyway, I think that's everything. There was a big update to share with you, but thank you for listening. And I'll keep updating you every week or so, as I've been doing for the last few times. I really need, there's lots happening behind the scenes. It's not easy to show how much is happening, but hopefully you will agree we've made lots of progress, and we're always interested in your feedback. If you want to see a challenge or scenario, if you want to find out whether Hey Monika can work for you, just drop us an email or comment under this video or connect with me on LinkedIn. Ask me. I'm really happy to have any feedback, criticism, positive, negative. Like, this is how we build it. I need to know if it's not working for you or something's missing. Just let us know. Okay, bye.